Chorine Louvania Calanshe Panjaitan. I am a student of SMP Santo Yoseph and I am an 8th grader. Today I am going to tell you a story with the title The Good and the Bad. Many centuries ago, a time where God ruled over everything. Peace, love, and all things good was noticeable to the people there. God, humans, and beings as such live alongside each other. There was no fights and no war. They cared for each other. God protected the living as the people and creatures kept helping the gods in any way they could. An example of this utopia was a planet called Celeste. The ruler of Celeste was a goddess named Sappho. She was a wise ruler. She was kind to her people, no matter what or who they were. Everything she did was for the better of her people, and because of that reason, her people and the other gods admired her. One of them was a god named Chisaki. He was one of the few gods of war. He was in love with her and admired her from afar, too scared to approach her. Eventually, he gathered up his courage and tried to talk to Sappho, and to his surprise, everything went well. They started to see each other frequently. Eventually, Chisaki gave in and declared his love to Sappho, only to be surprised when Sappho accepted his love. Years have passed, and the two got married and started a family of their own. They had two beautiful daughters. The eldest one was Fumiko, and the youngest one was Izanami. They lived happily together as a family, though this did not last for long. Being without war, Chisaki did not let go of his true nature, greed of power. He wanted power more than anything. He wanted to be the ultimate ruler. This is one of the reasons why he was drawn to Sappho. Sappho raised a kingdom of glory and righteousness. He wanted Sappho's throne. He was corrupted. Evil has taken over him and he was blinded. Many years have passed, yet Chisaki had not found a way to win the throne since Sappho was the one with the royal blood. Then Hoka, also known as the realm's darkest entity, who was made purely out of evil, offered Chisaki a way to win the throne. Of course, driven by his greed, Chisaki didn't hesitate to take up the offer. After many secret meetings, they found the best way to win the throne. Kill Sappho, said Hoka to Chisaki. That they planned to end Sappho in her sleep. They planned to kill her and then leave it as a sign that Celeste Empire was breaking apart. Yes, that would surely convince everyone, even the other gods and goddesses. Chisaki thought, he will take care of the throne and care for both Fumiko and Izanami to make it more believable to everyone. He would call it Doomsday, and that day has finally come, and Sappho was alone in the ballroom. It was perfect. No one was there to witness him doing it. He was so close to killing Sappho. He could have done it if it wasn't for Fumiko pulling Sappho from the entrance door. Sappho turned back with horror and disappointment in her eyes. Her own husband trying to kill her. Even after being caught, Chisaki did not want to surrender. He declared war right at that moment. And not long after, troops for both Sappho and Chisaki had appeared. As the war began, Fumiko hurried to find her sister and protect her. They both hid in a castle's secret bunker. To survive, many months had passed, and the war was only starting to get serious. With limited supplies and heart-filled curiosity, both Fumiko and Izanami went back up to the castle, only for them to find it has already become ruins. With concern, both of the girls want to find their parents. Chisaki and Sappho were near the city, where both of them and each of their troops was having a heated fight. Being easily found, Fumiko and Izanami went to approach both of their parents. Their eyes saddened by the sight of Chisaki and Safra were fighting and hurting each other. Izanami ended up crying. Because of that, this distracted their parents. They both rushed to their children, only to realize what they were doing. Seconds after that, they ran to Fumiko and Izanami. With a rush, they pulled their children to them. Sakura took Fumiko and Hisaki took Izanami. They fought each other for who gets the right to take care of both of them before the ground began to shake. This was the real time. The universe was mad. Chisaki and Sakura protected each of their daughters. Then, it finally happened. The universe shined a bright laser, dividing the planet into two sections and creating a big barrier. I've been disappointed many times. As your punishment, I will divide Celeste into two. One for the good, which will be called Asaka, will be ruled by Sakura, and one for the bad, which will be called Kira, will be ruled by Chisaki. No one will be able to pass that barrier, and I've already picked which creatures were bad and which were good, said the universe. They couldn't believe this was real, so much that Fumiko and Izanami tried to approach each other. It failed miserably. With that, they accepted defeat and took their leave. Fumiko and Izanami were so close as siblings. They cannot be separated for long, especially for infinity. They cried all the way home, though their parents did try to comfort them. Their hearts ached for each other's presence, and all they could do was wish that this was just a nightmare. Yet they couldn't believe that either of them being so young. Many years have passed. Both Fumiko and Izanami grew up to be decent people. Fumiko was loved by everyone in the kingdom because of her kindness and bravery. Izanami was loved by her people too, only for the wrong reasons. She became cruel and evil and greedy like his father. People thought that she was the true ruler of evil. She only cared for herself. Well, that's what people think. She still longed for her sister's presence and her mother's presence. She would often visit the barrier to see her family, but it seems like all that was gone. She hated her father very much because of what he did, but she had to admit that what her father is saying is true, at least to her. Growing up with her father, she became blinded by evil too. Either way, they longed for each other's presence. All they could do was hope that the bear was somewhat brave. Fumiko believed that the barrier system was unfair. No, not because she separated from her sister. She thought that the dividing system was all wrong. What is this nonsense? Living creatures should not be separated by this. Creatures as such were born with good and evil nature. Both of those could not be separated like this, said Fumiko to her mother. Every time, her mother started to give up hope on trying to break the barrier. Fumiko could not stand this anymore. She longed for justice, and she wanted to free the creatures, so that they could live alongside each other. She truly believed that the good and the bad could not live without each other. Many families, friends, and loved ones had been separated since the barrier had shown. All of them wanted to be saved. They needed a hero. Sakura was a true believer of this concept too, but she tried everything in her power to break that barrier, and nothing worked. Not a single scratch was made on that barrier, so she gave up and drowned in misery. Not only that, to prevent her daughter from feeling the heartbreak that she felt, Sakura banned Fumiko from ever trying to break the barrier. Well, that is if she was allowed to be near it. Yes, Sakura even prevent her from going near the barrier, but Fumiko made up her mind. She will bring justice to everyone. Every day, Fumiko worked hard to achieve her goal. She studied and practiced for every possible event that could happen. Of course, she did all of this in secret. She was scared that her mother would be angry at her. Then, when everything seemed to be in place, Fumiko marked the date of her strike. The night of the full blue moon. She figured out that on that night of the full blue moon, the barrier becomes some sort of shrine, which only the royals could enter. If this is so, why did no one try to enter? To answer that question, the slime was a mixture of toxic substance, and it was impossible to breathe in it without professional equipment. Any normal being would instantly die at the touch of it. The only reason why the gods could enter it because they have much stronger bodies, and not to mention that they had great powers. But still, they wouldn't survive walking through the big barrier. Fumiko, however, was smart enough to find a way to survive at least until she was on the other side. She was ecstatic, even though this plan has not been practiced on the real deal. She was sure enough that it would work. On the night of the strike, she locked her bedroom door, made a fake dummy of herself, and laid it on her bed for extra measurements. Then she carefully snuck out from her window and headed to the woods where the barrier was located. When she arrived, she prepared her equipment. She put on her special clothes that she made for walking through the barrier. She packed some weapons for herself, defense, and survival equipment if she needed to hide somewhere. She also brought some disguises. She was unrecognizable to the people there. She thought that the number one thing she would do when she arrived was meet her family and rescue them. Yes, even Chisaki. She still had hope that Chisaki would change. She brought many knickknacks and proof that she was the real Fumiko if she was ever interrogated there. It was finally time. The moon was ever so bright, the sky was clear, and it appeared more blue than black because of the moon. The barrier started to change into its slime consistency, and finally Fumiko entered it. It was around a 15-minute walk before she reached the middle of the barrier. Without hesitation, she continued until she reached the end, Kirara Empire. It looks so dead. Is this really the empire my father ruled? Fumiko said to herself. Not wanting to get caught, she quickly snapped out and set up her hideout. She put on her disguise and set out to find the castle her sister and father lived in. Luckily, she brought everything she needed for the trip: money, food, weapons, and food. She quickly booked a place to stay to look more normal. Then she decided to take a rest before finding the castle. The next day, Fumiko woke up very early. It was not even 3 a.m. But from what she heard from the people there, that a lot of the people complained about lots of things to the king, and because of that, there would be a long waiting line starting from 4 a.m. My plan must work. Mother wouldn't notice anything after yesterday's tantrum. She would only think I'm sulking in my bedroom and need good space like she always does. I mean, she wouldn't, right? I locked myself for days in my room after a tantrum, and she always just asks how I'm doing. Not that I ever answered anyways, but I really hope she isn't too worried. I don't want her to feel bad. Fumiko started to talk to herself. She always talked to herself whenever she felt overwhelming emotions. She took a couple transportations to reach the castle, and it was quiet. No waiting lines were there. This was her chance. After passing the guards, she quickly hid somewhere and took off her disguise. The security of this place is low. Maybe it's because the magical aura here is stronger. I mean, it would protect everyone here much better than guards, Fumiko thought to herself. She walked those long hallways like the ones she had back at her castle, only this one was a bit creepier and colder. Everything was fine until Fumiko tried to go down the stairs and tripped down the last step. A loud thud was created, and the Princess of Kirara rushed up and tried to see what was happening. Izanami's eyes widened at the sight of her sister. Fumika had not realized Izanami's presence because she was still focused. She was still focused on how her painful body is. Fumiko, Izanami said. Fumiko was shocked by Izanami's voice. Fumiko quickly stood up and awkwardly smiled at her sister, expecting her to be very mad at her. But instead, Izanami quickly ran and hugged her. I missed you so much. How did you get here, Fumiko? I have highways. The two chatted with each other for a long while until Chisaki showed up. Fumiko, how did you get here? Hi Dad, miss me? All three of them chatted, and Chisaki could not help thinking of using Fumiko, her own daughter, to get to her side of the planet and rule over the Asaka Empire. It was easy. All he needed to do was pull Fumiko into thinking he turned good. His plan started, and as his first step, all he needed to do was tell Fumiko to stay here until the next blue moon. With excitement, she accepted the offer. It was a year-long stay with her father and sister, the family members she missed so much. What could possibly go wrong? Though Izanami had her own reasons why Fumiko should stay here. She wanted to protect Fumiko. Izanami knew what her father was doing, but she could only play along until the time was right. During her stay there, Fumiko had lots of fun. She also got lots of information about how all the people live together and experienced the culture there. She met lots of nice people, which only made her heart ache for more justice. She quickly went on with her plan, of course, with Izanami by her side. They were the key to freedom. Exactly 3 months after Fumiko's arrival, the plan will do its part. Izanami had the only power Fumiko did not possess. It was the power to summon the blue moon every 3 months after the last blue moon. Fumiko only needed this power to save everyone because the blue moon that Izanami summons will have greater power than a regular one. It might even be strong enough to melt the barrier permanently. They did all of this behind Kisaki's back because Izanami knows what he would do if he knew this. Why are you hiding our plan from Dad? Asked Fumiko while preparing the grand arches for the escape plan. I want it to be a surprise, said Izanami while picking some herbs and such to create a prison realm for Kisaki. Izanami wanted to track Kisaki forever, so this planet could live in full peace. Chisaki was too corrupt for this planet to live in peace, so Izanami wanted to seal him like what the other gods would do when something is too corrupt for this realm. 2 nights before the day of the final stage, Izanami went to his father's room to find him and finally seal him. Everything was set. Kisaki was sleeping and not a soul was seen. As she sealed her father, She could hear screams of horror coming from her father, but those screams were no use, because he was quickly stilled after 1 or 2 seconds after he screamed. Plus, his screams weren't too loud. Everything seemed well before she saw the messy stacks of paper on his desk. She wanted to do one last favor before she left the room. She wanted to clean it because she knew how messy Chisaki has always been. When she approaches the desk, her eyes widen at the sight of many war schemes and arrangements to attack the Asaka Empire and take Sever's throne. It was a plan that could be done even when Chisaki was dead, and of course it was already started about 2 months ago. How did he know our plan? I was sure no one told him, not even Fumiko. This means we need to move the plan to tonight. I need to quickly tell Fumiko to move the date. Izanami talked to herself, while she hurriedly took the papers and left. Turns out Chisaki was smarter than Izanami thought. He figured out what they were doing. I guess what we were doing was too obvious about the plan. I mean, that is one of the gods of war. Izanami continued to talk to herself, rushing to tell her sister. When she was told about the new plan, Fumiko was utterly confused. But she didn't mind moving the date. The quicker the better, I guess. We already prepared everything we needed. I just need to do the telepathy announcement, Fumiko said while teleporting to the barrier. They continued their plan as Fumiko was sending the telepathy announcement, and Izanami summoned the blue moon. As everyone was gathering there, the barrier was slowly deteriorating. Everyone watched and shocked. Fumiko and Izanami were so happy that their plan was working so well. Too well. When they reached the same height as the two sisters, Fumiko was shocked and scared as she saw her mother standing in her war costume and subjects behind her ready to fight. Hello, Fumiko. You didn't think I didn't notice your efforts? Sakura said. As Fumiko was frozen in shock, Izanami saw Kirara's best fighters and warriors trying to attack Asaka from afar. Fumiko, snap out of it. We need to get the people to safety. Do you know a place? Izanami asked. Fumiko nods her head and goes on to teleport both Asaka and Kirara's people to safety. Sakura, on the other hand, was already prepared for the Freedom War, although she was still in shock at Fumiko's plan and the sight of her daughter Izanami. And so the war began. Fumiko and Izanami could only see the war from afar. They didn't dare to leave the people alone. Fumiko was happy that all of her theories were right, even the one where the good and the bad couldn't live without each other. This was proven at the sight of people finding their families and friends, and all of them bonding with each other. Yet Fumiko and Izanami couldn't help thinking of helping their mother. Meanwhile, the war was already at its climax, which was surprising because the war had only begun an hour ago. Blood was shed and many have passed, yet Sakura was still surviving, even with her wounds. 3 hours later, with Asaka and Kirara's bound warriors, looked like a pool of blood. And Sakura was down to her last few breaths. Sakura fought Kirara's last fighter warrior, which was also Chisaki's right-hand man, Kaiga. My king was ever so right to take your throne, but you denied that. Everyone denied that, Sakura thought. I'm here to take vengeance for my king's death. Wait, my husband has passed? Even if she was betrayed, she still loved Chisaki. This news broke her heart even more. Well, I guess he was sealed rather than dead, Kaigaku said. But he didn't deserve that. So I will end you here and take the throne as my own, like my king has claimed. Sakura was not ready to die, especially after seeing Izanami for the first time in years. So she shoot her shot. She gave a signal in the form of a beam of golden light. This broke Fumiko's thoughts, and she quickly teleported Izanami with her to save Sakura, as she knew it was a signal for help. As they arrived, all they saw was their mother lying down in the middle of the beam with her last breath, and Kaigaku taking aback on what's happening. The two sisters looked at each other and nodded as a sign of understanding. Both of them sprinted to their parents to do their parts. Izanami went to Sakura to heal her, and Fumiko went up and fought with Kaigaku. After Izanami healed Sakura, she teleports to the stage heaven. As she turned around, Izanami saw her sister fighting with every last energy remaining. Turns out, the evil's way was much tougher for her, especially when Kaigaku summons evil spirits to fight with them. Without hesitation, Izanami joined the fight. The two sisters fought with pride and almost won. They thought they killed Kaigaku for sure, and defeated all the spirits. But as they turned to leave the place, Kaigaku was revived by using Topas as his new soul and ambushed the two. But since Fumiko sensed him, her body reacted on her own because of his protective nature, and took the risk of using her only power she was told not to use, the eternal loop. It was a power to suck its victim into a black hole, and the victim will continue circling inside of the empty black realm as they slowly go insane. She took the risk and ended up sacrificing herself to defeat Kaigaku and the rest of the army, and causing a massive black hole to appear. When she was finished, Izanami ran up to her. "Hey, are you alright? I'll heal you quickly." But it might hurt a little. Fumiko was fine about it, because during her quickly taken action, she has let go of the possibility of living and was prepared to die. But with Izanami on her side, she knows she'll live for sure. As Izanami was finishing up, she told Fumiko to teleport them to the safe haven, and Fumiko did what she was told. Their arrival was good news to everyone, as in meaning that they won the war. Sakura quickly ran up and hugged the two while crying in relief of her two daughters surviving. Not long after, they saw in the distance the two empires changing their appearance as a sign from the universe congratulating them of their success. The people crowned Fumiko as the world's hero alongside Izanami and Sakura. Even with Izanami's nature, the people still accepted her as a hero and treated her as a royal. This brought a warm feeling in Izanami's heart, making her want to protect everyone, and not only the ones she loved. The throne was back at its prime, and with Fumiko and Izanami as its heroes and guardians, no harm would attack them for a